Welcome to the latest edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Haig. And don't forget that the Hudson County Sports Podcast is brought to you every week by our great sponsors, First Stand Sports Center, located at 528 Washington Street in Hoboken. The telephone number there is 201-798-4466. And, of course, Strulowitz and Gargiulo, Twin Boro Physical Therapy, located at 1 Nardone Place in Jersey City. The telephone number there is 201-792-3840. And with me today is my special guest, who is a Bayonne native, who grew up in Bayonne, became a two-sport athlete, was an All-American, parade All-American at Bayonne High School, and in football. And he also was a pretty good basketball player as well. I can't say he was as good as a basketball player as he was a football player. And he went from playing football at Bayonne to having a great career at Penn State University. Yes, a linebacker at linebacker U. It was a perfect fit for him, and he had a great career there. He dabbled with the pros just a little bit, but more importantly, he's now come back home, and he is now just been named the new head football coach at Bayonne High School. And it's my special guest, Jerome Hayes. Jerome, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. Thanks for having me. I'm deeply humbled that you would take the time to interview me, so I really do appreciate it.
Well deserved. And it's not the first time I've interviewed you, and hopefully it won't be the last either. So, all right. Let's go back to your childhood. And where'd you grow up? And where in Bayonne did you grow up?
So I grew up on 52nd Street in Bayonne, after C and Avenue B. Woodrow Wilson Wildcat. Had some fond memories of playing basketball there. Back with some of my deepest friends for a long time, Arthur Elam, guys that I still consider some of my best friends today. So, grew up there with guys like Rob Kaczynski, who was also a two-sport star at high school, a member of our 2002 state championship team. Like I said, built some fond memories about 20 years ago. And, we're still best of friends today. So, Woodrow Wilson Wildcat for life.
Woodrow Wilson Wildcat for life. Okay. All right. So let's turn the clock back into what it was like to grow up on 52nd Street and that area I know pretty well. What was it like? And did you have a lot of kids in your neighborhood that you were able to play sports with? Did you start sports at a young age?
Well, I didn't start playing youth sports until I was about 12 years old. My mom signed me up for the PAL. And I played basketball down there for Norman and those guys. Some of those guys are Miskelly brothers that are still down there until this day.
Yep.
But growing up uptown was great. Very family-oriented, kids type of neighborhood. I remember playing stickball after school from about 3 to 4:30. Then we quickly bring out the football and go to Lincoln schoolyard. And about 6 o'clock, those street lights came on. I made sure I sprinted home back to mom and dad for dinner. My parents actually still reside on 52nd Street.
Is that true? Oh, that's wild. Okay.
Absolutely. And growing up uptown, man, it makes you tough, man. Playing in those schoolyards, the cement, it's unforgiving. It definitely makes you tough. Like I said, I mentioned Arthur and Gary Elam. I remember playing, many nights deep into the night down 50th Street ball court, and playing against guys from Hoboken, guys from Jersey City who get off the light rail, and we politely send them back home. But some of my fondest memories are playing in the schoolyard at Woodrow Wilson and playing some really good basketball games over at 50th Street courts.
Okay. So, if you say you didn't start playing organized sports until you were 12 years old, how did football come into the mix if you're talking more about basketball now?
Well, actually, basketball was my first love. Like anybody who grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal, guys like Penny Hardaway. I was captivated by their skill. So, being a bigger kid myself, at a younger age, I thought I was going to be 6'11", basketball for my life, but I quickly fell in love with the game of football in the late late 90s watching guys like Evan Smith. My favorite football team is the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I'm hanging up now. I'm gonna hang up.
I know.
However, guess what? And I gotta admit it, but my favorite football team are the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, well, I won't hold that against you if you don't hold the Cowboys against me.
Jerome, I'll hold nothing against you at all whatsoever. Plus we share initials too, so that's like okay.
Just growing up in the 90s and watching Evan Smith, Troy Aikman, guys like Moose Johnson and Michael Irvin, Leon Lett, those guys run around and compete at a high level and win championships. I was captivated. I was hooked. My favorite football player of all time is Eddie George. That's why I wore number 27 in high school.
Is that true?
It absolutely is.
Oh, that's wild! And incredibly, I got to meet him in Union City about 5 years ago. There was a special football clinic that he showed up at Union City, and got the chance to talk to him there. He was a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Have you met him?
On the recruiting trail, I actually did meet him one time. Got an opportunity just to talk to him for really briefly, about 10 minutes. Great guy, always willing to sign an autograph and converse. And I know he's going to do great things coaching down at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite players of all time. I just love the passion in which he played. He was a bigger back, but he ran with style. He ran with some finesse. He definitely ran with a lot of power. So I tried to mold my game after his. And, so that once I started watching guys like him, Ray Lewis, like I said, that 90s championship team, the Dallas Cowboys, I was hooked into the game. And, a large part of why I enjoyed basketball maybe over football as a youngster was because coming up there was a weight limit. I had no body, I was just a bigger kid.
Right.
I couldn't make the weight all the time for football. With basketball, there was no weight limit, so I got an opportunity to participate a little bit more in that sport. But ultimately, once I got to high school, football prevailed.
Well, okay. All right, but you played basketball in high school, though.
I did.
I mean, no, don't sell yourself short. You were a good basketball player,
I had an opportunity to play for Green One and Coach Jack Aladdin.
Right.
I'm sure I gave him many a great year. Shooting 3-pointers from the corner, being a power forward. He would have preferred me in the block and in the paint, getting rebounds. But I considered myself a 3-point shooter. So a funny story. One of the first things I did when I came back from Penn State was apologize to Coach for maybe not listening as much while we ran our offense. But we got a nice laugh out of it. He's one of my dear friends to this day, and I really do appreciate him.
And he's a great man, but I don't think his hair is going gray. It's just going out.
After coaching now for 11 years myself, I don't have much hair left out.
Oh, is that true? Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry to hear. Okay. All right. Anyway, because you're way too young to be losing your hair, Jerome. Please,
Yeah, no, I attribute it, to wearing baseball caps and wearing a football helmet the majority of my life. At least I like to think so.
Okay. Well, I don't buy that. I don't buy that theory at all. But we will see. So, all right. So you played basketball you only started playing basketball at age 12?
Well, I was playing obviously in the schoolyard, playing down 50 to 3 quarters, but I didn't start playing organized sports until about 12 years old yet.
And did you go to the PAL? Because that's a great program. Is that how you started playing?
Yep, went right to the PAL. Once I made a little name for myself on 50th Street, a couple of guys said, "Man, why don't you play?" And my dad took me down. Mom and dad took me down to the PAL, got on the team, and I was hooked, man. I was hooked early on, just to be able to compete with my guys, friends from around the city,
and you got to meet guys from like other parts of the city too, so that was good, right?
Absolutely. And it was fun too because in the PAL it wasn't sectioned off by where you lived. You could play with a guy from first grade, play against a guy who lived next door. So I had a lot of fun in my PAL days, that's for sure.
Okay. All right. So was there any thought at all of going to any other school, or were you going to Bayonne High?
Well, I did. Being so close in proximity to to Marist High School in the early 2000s. They had a coach by the name of Kevin Batty.
Yep.
Who really had it going there. And Bayonne was in transition of coaches from, I believe, the late great Tom Baldwin, God rest his soul, to Rick Rodriguez, who was my football mentor to this day. But I didn't know him. He came from Elizabeth High School. I had a relationship with Coach Kevin Batty. They had some tremendous teams with Chris Baker and some of those
David Griffin.
Obviously basketball, they were very, very talented in those days. So, I had my eyes set on Marist High School. And then, one day in the summer, after 8th grade, I went to Bayonne High School to tour the campus. The new head football coach was there. He was appointed.
And that being Coach Rodriguez?
Yes, I got an opportunity to meet with Coach Rodriguez and myself, my parents, and him. And he assured me that as long as I stayed the course and did what I had to do in terms of competing in the weight room every day and at practice, and making sure that I took care of my schoolwork, that I would have the opportunity to play big time football. And that came to fruition.
Okay. All right. At first, you had to bide your time as being, you weren't a running back right away. You had to, you made your mark strictly a lot on defense because there were some other guys that were a little ahead of you at the running back position. Am I correct?
No doubt about it, man. I played alongside some of the best players, I think, in my mind.
The Smith brothers.
The Smith brothers, Brian and Brandon Smith, were tremendous talents. They were even better friends, and we're still good friends to this day. Brian and Brandon were special, man. I learned a lot of my game from them. They taught me how to, really see things for the first time. Especially early on in my career, I would just go out there and base my game off of being that athletic kid. But Brian being really smooth offensively, he really saw the defense before the defense happened. And then Brandon Smith being so meticulous and watching film at a young age, he really taught me how to, approach the game from almost like a professional level. And I owe a lot to them. They pushed me every day in practice, especially as a young man, freshman, sophomore year. They were seniors, and then they led the charge in 2002 when we ended up winning the state championship. Large part goes to them for being great leaders.
But you were on the field then, right? You were a sophomore then in 2002?
Yeah, I was a sophomore, so I started fullback with an opportunity to block for them, and then also I played the middle linebacker.
Right. Well, you were there already dominating at that point. Go ahead.
I just honestly, the level of competition at practice was so fierce, especially when we got after it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. By the time Fridays came, the game seemed to be like almost slow. I mean, we
really?
Had a really,
okay.
really good team in 2001, 2002. And it really brought out the best of us, man. So by the time, I'm on scout team defense, having to chase around Ryan Smith, Sean Ellerton, Jimmy Smith, Quincy Smith, some really, really good players. So having to play against them, it really, by the time we got to the game on Friday, like I said, it really did slow down.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the 2002 state championship game, a game that I attended well. I remember it very well. It was not the most pristine conditions of all time. It was about I'd say about 21 degrees, which meant down at Ahern Stadium that meant if it was 21 degrees, it means it was about -6. And I don't know how you were able to withstand playing there for 4 years because that is the coldest place on earth. All right, so.
Yeah, man. You gotta have a special type of blood to play in Bayonne, man. And especially down in the fall, that wind starts whipping off that water. We use it as our advantage. We've been playing down there since we were young kids. So when teams would come in early October into November, we would definitely consider ourselves up at least a touchdown before they got over the bus because that weather was no joke.
No joke. Well, anyway, in that 2002 state championship game against Hackensack, it was a case of mostly field possession football and trying to keep them out of the end zone because they were the number one ranked team in the state. They had the guy Hazel was the running back. They had wide receivers that were going to like every single major college known to mankind, and you had the Smith brothers and you. So, how much was that? Am I right in saying that you had to be a ball control type game to keep them out of the end zone?
Well, absolutely. I have to correct you on one thing, though.
Go ahead.
Hazel was a phenomenal back, but I missed him by a year. The running back that year was Gene Beljour.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, but like you said, they had a litany of Division I football players. They had Diaz, who's a defensive end, went to Maryland.
Yep.
Wide receiver, they had the kid Danny Kendu.
Oh my God, Danny Okendu, who went to Maryland, right?
Quarterback, 6'6", hell of a ball player in his own right. I think his name is Stacey Daniels, if I'm not.
Oh, that's right too, and he ended up playing college football in the Virginia area.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then Charles Stone was the tight end who went to Rutgers.
Absolutely, man.
They were loaded with Division I talent, loaded.
And you know what? They really came out and punched us in the mouth. I mean, we were obviously pumped up to play at home. We were supposed to play at Kane University, but it was a bunch of snow, bad weather that week. So we ended up getting a home game out of it. Maybe we underestimated, their ability to run the football. But before we blinked, we were down 14-0. Gene Beljour had 2 rushing touchdowns in the first 3 minutes of the ball game. So, we really had Coach Rodriguez. I remember vividly. He called timeout. Guys, we don't buckle our chin strap. This thing's going to get out of hand quick. And, thankfully we were able to hunker down and dig our toes in the ground and find our way back en route to winning. But you're 100% right. With the ball control game, it actually came down to
the final play. Daniels threw the ball into the end zone and it went right through Charles Stone's hands, and that secured the win. You won 26-24, I think.
Absolutely,
yep.
That was you're 100%. You're right on the money there. I mean, it was such an amazing game, such a great moment for Bayonne High School football, Bayonne High School. As a whole, man, the whole community came out. I remember that being as close to a college football atmosphere as I got in a high school game. I mean, we were, unfortunately for us, we were able to pull it out, but it definitely was one of my fondest memories.
Yeah, but there was snow on the field all over the place. Everybody was like walking around like they were figure skaters instead of football players, except for Brandon Smith, who ran wild. All right, and we're gonna talk a little bit about why and God bless Brandon Smith, and I hope he's feeling much better, and my prayers and thoughts are with him and his family and his wonderful wife Christy, and I hope they're doing well. But anyway, after the game is over, I go up to Brandon and I say to him, I said, Brandon, how in the world were you able to run as well as you did in the snow? And he goes, I don't know. Coach Rodriguez just told me to put these shoes on, and we'll see what happens. And what it was? Baseball cleats.
Right.
And nobody checked his feet. Nobody checked his shoes. Nobody checked because it was cold and snowy, and nobody wanted to look at his shoes. But he ran wild, and God bless, he brought a state championship to Bayonne High. And it's unfortunately the first. It was the first, and it's been the only. And how much? First of all, before we go any further, how much do you have an immense sense of pride, knowing fully well that you had a major hand in Bayonne's only state championship?
Well, like I said before, it's one of my fondest memories. Having had the opportunity to win that state championship at home, in front of our town, in front of our community, in front of the coaches that have coached me, for some time there, and to be able to bring that home. I remember that sense of pride in the community. That was one of the best sports years in Bayonne High School history.
Sure.
We won a county championship in basketball, the boys end, county championship in girls basketball, state championship in football. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, were state runners-up or sectional champions in baseball that year. Just a great year for sports in our town and our community. And still to this day, I wear my state championship ring. Day one when I came in the weight room to meet my team for the first time, all the kids were in awe of the fact that I still had it after 20 years now after winning it. But it just brings me so much pride, so much joy that I had an opportunity to win that game with my brothers and to overcome adversity the way we did and win it the way we did. I wouldn't have changed anything about it.
No, nor should you. So, all right, we'll be back with more with Jerome Hayes after this first message from Strulowitz and Gargiulo, Twin Boro Physical Therapy. For over 40 years, Strulowitz and Gargiulo, Twin Boro Physical Therapy, has been caring for Hudson County with modern state-of-the-art offices in Jersey City, Bayonne, and Hoboken. You can count on Carl Gargiulo and his highly trained, experienced staff of physical and occupational therapists to help you recover from an injury, get post-operative care, or reduce your pain and help you get back doing the things you love. From back pain to balance difficulties, sports injuries to joint replacements, Carl and his staff will help you regain movement, resume activities you love, and recapture your independence. The phone number there is 201-792-3840. I'm going to repeat that, 201-792-3840. Please feel free to call Carl directly with any questions and visit their Hudson County offices or any of the other 42 Twin Boro locations throughout New Jersey. To learn more about Twin Boro and physical therapy, please visit the website www.twinboro.com. Strulowitz and Gargiulo, Twin Boro Physical Therapy, is an in-network provider accepting all major insurances. And on a personal note, not only are they a sponsor to the Hudson County podcast, but I am also a patient at Strulowitz and Gargiulo Twin Boro Physical Therapy, where I've been going for the last 8 years, and they've helped me tremendously with my mobility and my balance, and gone from in 2013 to not walking at all to now 2022, where I'm able to walk. Thanks a lot to the people at Strulowitz and Gargiulo Twin Boro Physical Therapy, and thank them for being a sponsor. All right, we're now back with Jerome Hayes, and Jerome, I want to say that your best year was 2002, but as an athlete, you just kept going from there, and especially the next year, your junior year, you became the featured back. And were you looking forward to that challenge of being the number one running back?
Absolutely. After my sophomore year, I really came into my own as a football player. I worked really, really hard in the off season, strength and conditioning program, to put myself, on the map, especially in terms of recruiting. I had generated a lot of interest from some colleges after that state championship game. Obviously, playing alongside the Smith twins, when college coaches would come in and see me, coming to see them, they popped my film on as well. So I definitely owe the Smith twins a lot of credit for springboarding my career. But going into my junior year, I really had the mindset, having visited some colleges and seeing the success that Brandon Smith had, some of my contemporaries around the Hudson County area, guys like Mike Brown and Deshaun Jackson at St. Peter's Prep, the success and attention that they garnered in their own right. I really took it as like a chip on my shoulder to go out, really compete at a high level, and try to have as many opportunities as possible when it came to my opportunity to make a decision on college. So I'm definitely looking forward to stating my own name and step out of kind of like the shadow of the Smith brothers, big shadow that it was. They were phenomenal football players, but yep. I really use it as a springboard for my own career.
Okay. And how ironic is that you mentioned Mike Brown, but he was my guest on the Hudson County Sports Podcast just last week. So Mike Brown is leading you in. He's doing a little bit of the lead blocking for you. See, how about that? All right. So, but you. Great guy. All right. So your junior year, you had some success, but then going into your senior year is when you started to get major recognition, like all over the country. I mean, you were a preseason parade All-American. You were in Street and Smith's All-American yearbook. I mean, you were being recruited, or not being, you were being noted as being an All-American high school football player, and that must have blown your mind going from Bayonne. That doesn't happen every day. And what was that like getting that kind of recognition as being an All-American?
Well, I mean, it was definitely humbling. It was definitely overwhelming at some point. Because some of those college recruiters do a phenomenal job making you believe that the world is all about you in that one moment that they're talking to you. But it was everything that I wanted it for. You know, once I got a taste of it, I remember speaking to Rutgers University head coach Gargiulo at some point in my sophomore year, and him really telling me that I was on a trajectory to be a really great player. That fueled me, and more college coaches that came in and told me how good I was, and how one day I would be, potentially one of the best players in the state of New Jersey. I really, like I said before, I really fueled me to work as hard as possibly can in the classroom and on the field. And Coach Rodriguez put together a phenomenal plan for me, and it really just panned out. I went to a couple camps, went to Rutgers.
That's junior year going into senior year. You went to a couple camps, right?
Yes.
Right.
Went to Rutgers, went to Syracuse, went to Penn State camps, and really did well for myself here to the point where I picked up scholarship offers from them, respective universities. And how it works is. And
one of those camps, you blew out the chart. You ran a 4.4. I think that was that at Syracuse.
At Syracuse, I ran sub 4.5. Yes, going into my senior year.
That's what I thought.
Probably the best year of my life.
And at that time, you were what, about 6'1", 230?
I would say about 6'1", 225 going into my senior year.
Yeah, 6'1", 225 and running a 4.4 40. That's a lethal combination. That is really lethal.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I owe it all to the strength and conditioning program that Coach Rodriguez put forward. I mean, we really used to compete in that weight room. I still tell stories of that team. From my sophomore year into my senior year, we really worked really hard. My parents, thankfully, were fortunate enough to send me to several camps and speed specialists, and they really invested in me, and and ultimately helped me garner some attention, like you said, from some of the highest, greatest universities in the country.
And the greatest publications in the country too, because they were naming you All-American before you played as a senior. Now the recruits the colleges start to pay attention to you a little bit that summer, going from your junior year to your senior year. And was there any thought at all, Jerome, of which position you were going to play in college? I mean, because you were equally good as as a running back and as a linebacker. Nobody could tell, at least locally, what your better position was. And am I wrong?
No, you're 100% on the money. Ultimately it came down to being my decision. Some schools, like Penn State, they wanted me to play linebacker. Where other schools like Michigan State, Rutgers, they wanted me to play running back. Louisville at the time, they were into the bigger backs. Wisconsin gave me the opportunity where I could have played either side of the ball. And I sat down, I spoke with Coach, I spoke with my family. I really enjoyed delivering it and not necessarily as much getting them. So, that was pretty much the turning point in what I wanted to do moving forward. So, delivering punishment is one.
Okay. All right. So, and growing up as a kid, was Penn State always on the radar for somebody like you? Did you always say to yourself, boy, I play linebacker. Wouldn't it be great for me to go to linebacker U?
Absolutely. I have fond memories of watching LeVar Arrington run around with the number 11 on his back, and jump over the line of scrimmage on 4th and 1 against Illinois. And ever since that play, I was hooked. Obviously, the mystique of Joe Paterno, and being fairly local, close proximity, they were always on local television, be it ABC or ESPN. And I just love those blue jerseys and those white.
You break it up a little bit, Jerome. Move around a little bit. Jerome, you're really breaking. You're in it, Jerome. You're in and out. So can you try again? All right. We will.
Hello.
There you go. I got you now.
Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Sorry. Yeah. No. I was just saying that being fairly local to Penn State, they were always on the local broadcast on ABC or ESPN. Obviously the mystique of Joe Paterno and what a great coach he was.
Did he come to recruit you at all, or was it strictly his assistants? And who was the assistant? Who was the assistant then?
Early on, Fran Ganner, who was the running backs coach and offensive coordinator at one point.
Great man. Great man.
Great. Still speak to him and his sons to this day. But Dick Anderson also.
Another great man. Wow.
Coach, he came down, and then my final visit, home visit, was my position coach Ron Vanderlyn and Joe Paterno. And obviously when he walked through the school, I feel like the whole way stopped. And I just fell in love with the Penn State way.
So Joe Paterno came to Bayonne High?
He did.
Oh my God, that must have been a thrill for everybody, huh?
It was. It was kind of like the who's who at that point in time, and that's when I really knew that I was going to have an opportunity to make my mark in college football. When you have Larry Coker one day, Barry Alvarez the next, Joe Paterno the next day, that's when it hit me that this thing was going to be real.
Okay. All right. So was there a final three, or was there always just the final one?
Well, Penn State, like I said, was always near and dear in my heart, but there was a final five. Rutgers, Michigan State, University of Miami, University of Florida, and Penn State University were my final five.
All right. Before you go any further, Jerome, how much consideration did you give to go to Rutgers?
They played a major role in my decision. Those guys recruited the heck out of me. Gargiulo was a very, very hard man to say no to, and I couldn't be happier that he's back in the state of New Jersey where he belongs. Unfortunately, they're in the Big Ten, the same side of the division as Penn State, so I root for them every week besides one. But he is a great man. His philosophy, the culture that he's built at Rutgers, in his 2 tenures there. I'm extremely proud of what he's accomplished in his football coaching career, and I know he's destined for great things at Rutgers. I can see big things happening there.
Yeah, don't give him too much credit. Okay, all right, I'm only kidding. All right, so was the final decision to go to Penn State, Joe Paterno?
Well, I was actually going into my senior year. I wanted to verbally commit to the University of Florida, and Ron Zook was the head coach.
Wow.
There. Yeah, man. I went on an unofficial visit. I went to their Florida Rising Junior Camp, and I had a great time. The campus life was great. I actually took an official visit down there. Their offensive coordinator at the time was Mike Locksley, who's the head coach at the University of Maryland now. And they showed me a great time. And honestly, I saw myself playing for the Gators. But the November of my senior year, Ron Zook and his staff were let go. I kind of opened up my recruitment.
Okay.
And it was until I met Justin King, who was the number 2 recruit in the country that year, down in Florida at that visit, and then in Texas for the Army All-American game, where he decided that, you should take a better look at Penn State, man. We got some great things. He had already committed, and he was going to campus there as an early enrollee.
That's right. You played in the U.S. All-American game in San Antonio, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. See that?
2005. Great experience, man. It was an unbelievable experience. But meeting Justin King down there really opened up my recruitment. And when I came back home, I took an official visit to Penn State, and I fell in love all over again.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to dwell on the Joe Paterno situation. What happened is still a horror, and I feel really bad because I really like Paterno, and it's unfair that that's what the way his legacy is remained, and they take down the statue and they take his name off the building that he built with his own money. It's just really, really sad. And do you feel the same way? I mean, is it shock and horror in your eyes, Jerome, or is it?
It definitely leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It was first and foremost, it was an unfortunate tragedy that definitely wasn't necessary, didn't need to happen. It's unfortunate that Coach Paterno passed away before he got his day in court to really defend himself. Nobody really knows, other than him and the people who were directly involved, what really happened during that time. It was an unfortunate black eye for the university that I love, for the coach that I hold near and dear to my heart. And, I'm really proud in the steps that my university has taken, since that incident and bringing those horrific crimes to light and showing, what type of metal we're made of to bounce back from that.
Hiring James Franklin was probably the best thing that school ever did, because you know what he has done is that he is, I hate to say it, he's totally eliminated that entire incident and it's out of the picture, it's out of the realm, and Penn State football is back to being Penn State football. They played for the national championship. So I mean, it's James Franklin's done a phenomenal job turning that program around and making it back into the being Penn State University, which is one of the top programs in the country. No question.
Right, yeah. He's definitely created some stability there. It looks like he's going to be there for a long while after signing that big contract last summer, deservingly so. He recruits really, really well. I had an opportunity to meet him at an alumni event last spring. Great speaker. I can see how kids get amped up to play for him on Saturdays. He's a great recruiter, even better man, father, husband. I respect the heck out of him as a person and as a coach. And, I couldn't be more proud to have him lead, the university that I once played for.
I agree with you. All right, so then now we jumped right over it, and that's my apologies, but let's talk a little bit about your career at Penn State, and how great was that to go run out onto the field at Nittany Lions Stadium in front of 101,000 people screaming and cheering. That must have blown your mind.
There's no feeling, that I can compare it to. It's deafening. I get goosebumps when people talk about it. I can close my eyes and I can hear the 110,000 people, going crazy. There's nothing like no better experience than a Saturday night whiteout game in Happy Valley. So it was great. It was an overall great experience for me. Having the largest crowd I ever played in high school was about 2,500 people.
No, more than that. In that state championship game in the cold, there were about 4,000 people there that night. That was cold, but they were there.
Depending on who you ask, I think the fire marshal said it was only supposed to be 2,500, so we'll leave it at that. We don't break any rules in Bayonne.
Oh, never. No. I understand. But there were about 4,000 people there that night. But go ahead.
No. It was a great experience, and just having the opportunity to run out there and receive the support from the fans is nothing like. It's almost cult-like. And there's nothing like. I've never experienced a moment in sports like I did when running out of that tunnel.
Okay. And, obviously you didn't play much as a freshman, but did you have high hopes to play right away? Or, what was your thought process going out there?
I definitely did. You go from being a big fish in a small pond to
being an All-American.
Yeah. To being, the guppy trying to find his way. And I was fortunate enough to play and learn under some All-American linebackers and Paul Posluszny, Tim Shaw, Dan Connor at the time.
Posluszny's one of the best linebackers in the history of Penn State, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Later on in my same recruiting class, I had Sean Lee, Boro Bowman came the year after.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so we had our linebacker. I say this, trying to be as unbiased as possible. our linebacker room was really, really competitive. So obviously I wanted to play early on. Ran into some adversity my freshman year. I broke my foot, so I had to miss 6 weeks. And then, my next 2 years were kind of marred by injury, unfortunately, and tearing my ACL, my right knee first, and my left knee the following year.
Oh God, I did not know that. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. It made me who I am. It was extremely tough rehab.
Did you get to red shirt at least 1 year or no?
So I redshirted my first year.
Oh, okay.
My first year when I broke my foot, and then the next 2 seasons, my sophomore season, I ended up playing, I think, 5 games. And then the following season, I got my chance to be in the starting lineup. Tore my ACL against Wisconsin, the third game of the year. Was playing really, really well. But I got back up on the horse, and I had a tremendous amount of support from my friends, my family, my teammates, my coaches, and was able to make it through 6 or 7 months of rehab. And I was actually lined up as a starter my junior and senior year. So I attribute a lot of who I am, the character that I have today, that I instill into my own kids from those instances. It really taught me a lot about myself, a lot about who was in my corner for all the right reasons. And like I said, it made me who I am today. So I would have loved to be injury free, but it just makes for a better story.
Okay. All right, and we'll be back with more with Jerome Hayes right after this message from Stan Sports Center. Stan Sports Center is your local full-service sporting goods vendor and authorized team dealer. They offer quality products and dozens of brands to outfit your team top to bottom. Stan's has proudly been supporting the local community since 1946 and is your one-stop shop for uniforms, equipment, online team stores, and so much more. Locations in Hoboken and Saddlebrook, and now they have a new warehouse in Boonton and servicing the entire tri-state area. Visit them on the web at StansPluralSportsPluralCTR.com. That's StansPluralSportsPluralCTR.com, and check them out on social media for their latest creations. That's Stan's Sports Center, located at 528 Washington Street in Hoboken. The telephone number there is 201-798-4466. And if you mention the Hudson County Sports Podcast with my good friends down at Stan's Sports Center, I'll try saying that again, Louie and Todd, and especially Danny, you mentioned the Hudson County Sports Podcast, and that you listen to the one with Jerome Hayes, you get 10% off on anything that's retail in the store. Not a bad deal at all. So thanks again to our sponsor, Stan Sports Center in Hoboken. Okay, we're going to finish up now with Jerome Hayes. And Jerome, tell me a little bit about your senior year, and did you're now back on the field, and you're now starting. And how good of a feeling was that to have that kind of perseverance after 2 years of bad injuries?
Well, it was an amazing feeling, to have an opportunity, like you said, to lead the team. I was a captain at that point in time. Have an opportunity to lead the team out the tunnel after dealing with everything I've dealt with at a personal level with the injuries. Ended up having a pretty decent season. We went on that year. I believe we were 8-2. We went on to beat LSU in the Champ Sports Bowl. We had a pretty decent team. Anytime you have an opportunity to beat up on a team from the SEC, you definitely got to take pride in that.
And that Champ Sports Bowl was a New Year's Day bowl, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of my proudest accomplishments. I played in 4 New Year's Eve bowls, New Year's Day bowls down at Penn State University, and really played a great brand of football. Made lifelong friends, brothers. I look forward to getting back up there every year for the alumni weekend. And my senior year was just one where I just learned to really appreciate every snap. I appreciated every trainer, every water break, every blade of grass on the field. I knew my time at Penn State was coming to an end, and I appreciated every day. I took every day for what it was. I really learned to hone my skills, and my game changed a little bit. I wasn't as explosive. I couldn't jump as high, but I became a better student of the game, and I was able to, in my 2 years of sitting down and sitting back and really watching the game, I was really able to evolve into more of a coach, which I think helped me transition to my life after football and what I do now is in my professional life as an educator and a coach. So, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. I think, I was sat down for those 2 years to really learn what it is to lead young men and women and, teach the game that I love.
Okay. All right. So after your college career is over, you had some opportunity to play professional football, did you? Or did you not? Were you drafted?
I did. I was in several NFL camps. Went to camp with the Giants and the Steelers. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me in the NFL. But I was able to play 4 years in the Arena League, both for Philadelphia and Trenton. Had some success here and there. Won Defensive Player of the Year. I believe it was 2014 or 15 before I hung up my spikes and started coaching.
What was that like to play arena football?
The best way I could describe it would be a fast break in basketball for 2 hours straight.
Okay.
The game is really, really fast. I didn't understand it at first. I just wanted to play ball. But so I got knocked around a little bit early on in my arena career. But once I really learned the game and really started to have fun, it was like a kid again. There was no pressure. There weren't 150,000 people. I was just going out there playing the game I loved at a fast pace. So, I had an opportunity to travel the United States and play against guys from all over the country and compete.
And get paid.
I would take
and
it back.
and get paid.
Absolutely. I was a professional at that point, so I was able to put a little coin in my pocket.
That's it.
At that point in time, I had my first son, Jerome Jr.
Oh, you already had your son by that point. Okay.
Yep. So it was an opportunity to, like you said, put some coin in my pocket and help out a little bit. So,
okay.
It was a good experience.
All right. And what was it like to play? You said you played 2 years at Trenton. What was that like to now finally playing close to home?
Well, it was great. Like you said, at that point in time, I was also in my first and second year of teaching, so it was really cool.
Oh, you were already teaching while you were playing pro football?
Right.
Oh, that's amazing. Where were you playing? Where were you teaching?
I was teaching in Bayonne High School. I'm a phys ed teacher by day. I was coaching wrestling and coaching football for Bayonne at that point in time. So, it was really cool. They had a school trip where some of the wrestlers and football players came down and watched me compete. We played games on Saturday evenings. So that was really cool to get the kids to come down and show some support for their teacher and coach. So it was a good experience down in Trenton. My family, my friends had an opportunity to see me play and finish up my career.
Okay. All right. Did you know after 2 years in Trenton that your career was over?
Yeah. You know what? My body felt like it took a little bit longer to recover. I felt like, I was missing time with my son. Once he was able to say, Daddy, how come you're not going to, basketball practice? He was old enough at that point in time to say those things. I just knew it was time to hang it up and really focus more on my family and my career after football, break into coaching, which I was fortunate enough to do. At my alma mater, and the transition was seamless. I was coaching my son's youth league teams. I was, coaching linebackers and running backs back at Bayonne High School. So, life after football, like I said, was a pretty easy transition for me.
Okay. Now, did you stay on the staff with the coaching changes that were going on? Like, say, were you on the staff with Jason Nacera?
I was. I did. I coached 4 years under Coach Rodriguez, and then.
And that was his second term of duty, right?
Second term, yes.
Yeah.
And then, and 1 year under Coach Nacera, and then I went back to graduate school to earn my master's in educational leadership, so I had to step away from the game for a little while.
Wow. Where'd you go to get your master's?
St. Peter's.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
So, I took some time away from the game. And then I actually took an opportunity, a teaching and coaching opportunity at West Orange High School with Coach Darnell Grant, which was amazing for me. My whole life I had, pretty much been a defense-only guy in terms of coaching, and he is the ultimate offensive coach. So, it showed me again, the game from a different perspective, and West Orange was very good to me, and obviously now it catapulted me into becoming Bayonne's next head football coach.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You applied for the head coaching job when Coach Acera stepped down, and you didn't get it. How disappointed were you that Bayonne didn't give you the chance that time to become the head coach?
Well, the first time, I did apply to the interview process. I felt really good about it. Unfortunately, it just didn't go my way. At that point in time, for whatever reason, the football gods didn't see fit for me to lead the team at that time. So I was definitely disheartened, but I stayed the track and continued to hone my craft and get better as a coach. And I'm a firm believer, like I said before, everything happens for a reason, and things kind of became full circle for me. And the job opened up again. I applied and went through the interview process. This time I got it.
Okay. Now, did you have a good relationship with the previous coach, Dwayne Williams?
Absolutely. Dwayne was my running backs coach back when I was in high school. And, being a bigger kid early on, like I said, I couldn't play in the backfield because I weighed too much.
Yep.
So up until the time I came to high school, I was a lineman. And so Dwayne really taught me how to run the ball, how to be light on my feet, how to, taught Brian Smith a lot of what he knows. And then obviously I kind of took the things I learned from him, the things I saw Brian do, and then used it for my own career. But Dwayne and I remain friends to this day. Obviously I appreciate him as a coach, as a person, the things he's taught me, as a player, so I have nothing but the love for Coach Williams.
How hard was it then, Jerome, was it for you to be the one to have to replace Coach Williams?
Well, you never want to be the one. Someone told me after I put in for the job, after Coach Rodriguez, they told me you never want to be the guy to replace your mentor. And so I feel the same way about Coach Williams. I never envisioned myself, replacing or coming in behind Coach Williams. It's just the way it panned out. I felt truly in my heart and my soul that I am ready to be a head football coach. And when an opportunity at your alma mater comes up, to be that and take a leadership role in my community, I couldn't pass it up.
Okay. So then, the job opens up again, and you apply, and you get it. And how excited were you now? And how old are you now, Jerome? 35?
I'm 35 now.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, that was a good guess. Not bad. I didn't even look that up. See? All right. So, what was the initial reaction when the Board of Ed said we approve the hiring of Jerome Hayes as being the head football coach at Bayonne High School? What kind of a feeling was that like? And was that almost like running through the tunnel and going out in front of 101,000 fans?
The same type of emotion, but a different feeling.
Okay.
I was elated. It was it was a deep breath moment, something that I've dreamed of for a very, very long time. Bayonne has always been near and dear to my heart. It's where I spent, obviously a large portion of my life. My parents, my family, they still live there. So to have an opportunity, to come back now and lead the troops and be the head coach, hopefully for a long time, Lord willing, it's something very special to me. Bayonne means so much to me. Administration has been phenomenal to me.
Don't you dare name Pearson's name, please don't, please. I'm only kidding. He's a great friend.
No, I know. He told me about it. When I mentioned that I was going to be on the podcast, he said, "Tell him I said hello."
Okay.
So Superintendent John Neese,
great man.
Kenny Lopez,
great man.
Athletic Director Mike Pearson. They all just told me. They said, "Hey, listen, This isn't, the Ricky Rodriguez of 2005 show. This isn't the Jason Acera show. This isn't the Dwayne Williams show. It's now your opportunity to lead the program, and we believe in you. So, go out there and give it your best. And, to have the community, to have, the stakeholders, to have the kids really buy in such a short period of time, it really resonates with me. And like I said, I just look forward to putting in a lot of hard work, coaching the heck out of these kids and trying to develop them as young men and women, and hopefully compete for state titles.
All right, Jerome, how would you best describe yourself as a football coach? Are you defensive minded first? Are you offensive minded first? Or do you rely on your coordinators to take the bull by the horns, and you just have to be the soothsayer, so to speak, the one that looks over everything? How would you best describe yourself as a football coach?
You have to have a good hold on everything. And I talk to some of the greats in Hudson County. Obviously, I lean on Coach Rodriguez daily. He's still a teacher in Bayonne High School, but I speak to guys like Wilbur Valdez. I look up to. I speak to guys like Darnell Grant, and I just try to pick their mind. You have to be, obviously, I'm a defensive-minded coach. I'm defense first.
Okay.
You have to delegate responsibility. You have to trust your staff. Obviously, they're there for a reason. I had an opportunity to choose my staff coach by coach. So in saying that, I will delegate responsibility to the coordinators, but I will be, definitely take part in the game plan, instituting the game plan on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And, when we go out there on Friday nights, I just want the kids to play fast and free. Obviously, I want to never give up a touchdown, but, my philosophy is we score one more than they do. We're doing pretty good.
That's all that matters. And if you win, and especially in the group, in the section you're in, you have a 500 or better record, you're guaranteed to go to the state playoffs. So, so that should be a goal of yours as well, is to get to the state playoffs. And when you get there, who knows? Because you know fully well that in 2002, it can happen. And is that something that's like, is that a ultimate goal, is just to get to the state playoffs and see what happens?
Yeah, no doubt. My goal is to win every game we play. Obviously we're not going to go undefeated throughout my tenure.
You go 11-0 your first year, Jerome. They're going to have to rename streets in Bayonne after you.
I want to compete at an extremely high level. There are some great teams that we're going to be competing against. Great coaches, great players. So. I just want to win every down. I want to compete every down, and I want to play hard. If we do that, I think we have a great opportunity to make some noise in every game and every season that we play.
Okay. Are you a player's coach? Are players going to be comfortable playing for you?
I'd like to think so. I'm not being 35 years old and a head coach, and the head coach profession is kind of considered a young guy in the profession. I'm not too far gone from what they are experiencing right now. I have a 13-year-old son who's going to be 14 at the end of this month.
Oh, my God. Oh,
yeah,
God.
Yeah, so he'll be a freshman at Bayonne High School next year. And so, I like to think of myself as a player's coach, but I'm definitely a disciplinarian. I'm going to coach these guys hard the way I was coached. And, the Bayonne kids have a lot of resolve. They're tough-minded kids. They've really bought in thus far. I couldn't be more proud of the effort that they exude every day in the weight room and in the classroom, study hall. So, I'm looking for big things in our future.
Okay, how much can, as being a new head coach, how much can you lean on the other head coaches that are in the building, and especially you have two of the greats in the building, in the basketball coach being Ben Gamble and the baseball coach being Dave Hoffman, and how much can you lean on those two, considering how successful they've been on the high school level?
Right. Well, I've met Coach Gamble. I've been to several of his games. So I haven't had an opportunity to really sit down with him one-on-one and really pick his brain. But his career as a coach is well documented. He's done well at every place he's been. Put several players into big time colleges. So it's definitely I definitely want to pick parts of his coaching tree and figure out how he approaches the game from a philosophy standpoint. Dave Hoffman has been a mentor to me since I was a young man. He actually coached against me when I was young playing baseball coming up, and he tried to get me to play in high school, but football and basketball won. But I speak to him on a daily basis. We eat lunch together every day. Just try to pick his brain. Obviously, he's going through a season right now. And he has a way of breaking things down. That I can understand from a philosophy standpoint how it correlates between baseball and football. And he's been great to me. He's been great to my family. And he's a tremendous asset in the building to have.
Good. All right. So before we sign off, why don't you mention your wife and your children? And it sounds like you got a great family. So go ahead.
Right. Well, I'm actually married to my high school sweetheart, Angeline. We met back in 2004 and have been inseparable ever since. I have three sons: Jerome Jr., who will be 14 this month. I have a 7-year-old Jackson and a 2-year-old Jeremiah. So the Hayes name will live on for some time now, Lord willing. They're all involved in sports. My 2-year-old doesn't go anywhere without his baseball mitt, which will make Dave Hoffman very happy.
That's good to know.
My eldest plays football and baseball, and my middle guy plays football, basketball, and baseball. So I'm extremely blessed from a personal standpoint. I have a tremendous family. My parents, they're my rock. I speak to my mom daily, my mom and dad daily, and they're two hardworking individuals who, I aspire to be like every single day. So I'm extremely blessed to have the relationship I have with family and friends, and as they say right now, Mr. Hayes, life is good.
Yeah, well, it's certainly life is good because people in Bayonne are very, very happy that you're now the head football coach, and they think that things are going to turn around. And can you sense that this is, that there'll be another day that Bayonne gets crowned as being a state champion?
Well, I can tell you this: if we are not successful, it won't be for a lack of resources. We've been given just about everything from a facility standpoint. Brand new gyms, brand new workout facility. The football complex is second to none, I believe, in the state of New Jersey. State of the art.
That it's on your campus too, which is not bad. You walk down the hill and you're right there.
Have the opportunity to walk from the locker room 15 steps down to the practice facility. Is an added bonus. We're gonna work extremely hard. We want to outwork people. We want to play fast. We want to play hard. And my hope is to someday soon be standing in Giant Stadium, the MetLife Stadium, with the opportunity to hoist the state championship up. Beautiful.
And I know before we leave, I know our mutual friend, the beloved Tommy Bullworth, would be so proud of you right now. Just by the way you sat and gave me this interview for the past hour. And Bull was a great man, and I know he really, really liked you a lot. And he's somebody we're going to miss. It's one thing that he was a San Francisco Giants fan, but other than that, he was top shelf all the way around. And boy, oh boy, we certainly do miss him.
Yes, we miss Coach Bull. He encompasses everything what it means to be, a Bayonne Bee. He was a football lifer, and I didn't have an opportunity to play under him, but I watched him work, in the late 1990s, and some of the teams that he had in the early 2000s, and it's a shame, that we lost him last year, but I'll definitely try to do my best to make him proud.
Yeah, without question, you're already doing it. Jerome, thank you so very much for spending the past hour with me. It flew by, and I wish you nothing but the best of success in the upcoming season and the future. And thanks so very much for sharing some time with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, you take care, Jerome. Best of luck to you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. And that was my special guest, Jerome Hayes, the new football coach at Bayonne High School, who had a great career as an athlete at Bayonne, and then went on to play linebacker at Penn State. My special guest today is is courtesy of both my sponsors, which are Strulowitz and Gargiulo Twin Boro Physical Therapy, and Stan Sports Center, located in Hoboken. Special thanks to my executive producer, Johnny Haig. Without him, this podcast would not take place, and we're going strong, almost coming up on our third anniversary of doing the podcast. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and we'll have another edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast next week. I'm your host, Jim Haig, and we'll see you. Take care of yourselves.